The child, a boy little older than 10, was accused of a crime he could not reasonably have known, the charge treason, the punishment death. His trial, if it could even be called that, lasted precisely 4 minutes and 13 seconds. The bureaucrat read the accusations from a lighted hollow scroll, scarcely looking at the scared child who stood quivering before the imperial tribunal. The judge, a withered member of the vortal species, adjusted his ceremonial sash, glanced at the sentencing panel, and announced, "Guilty." The boy shouted out, but his voice was drowned by the antiseptic acoustics of the main hall. A cluster of guardians, reptilian enforcers clothed in obsidian armor, moved with practiced indifference. They put the infant in a confined field, a shimmering cube of electricity that paralyzed his every movement, rendering him a prisoner in his own flesh. A second later, the sentence was carried out, swift, complete, empty of ceremony. A pulse of energy burst through the cube, and the boy was gone. The Empire did not know his name. They did not care to know, but his mother did. General Helena Blackstone was a name that once commanded fear on the battlefield, a woman whose renown spread across entire sectors. She had fought in battles that changed the balance of power, cut through enemy lines with the precision of a surgeon and the force of a hurricane. She had been a tactician, a commander, a soldier, and then she had been a mother. She had left it all behind for him, for serenity, for a peaceful life on a world where conflict was nothing more than an echo in history books. She had pledged never to return to the battlefield, to let the galaxy churn and rage without her. She had given them her service, her blood, her victories. In return, she had asked for only one thing: to spend out the rest of her days in seclusion with her son, and the Empire had snatched him from her. The news reached her in the murky interior of a derelict pub on the outskirts of known space. She sat at a corner table, a half-empty bottle of something powerful and bitter in front of her. The hollow screen flickered to life, transmitting a normal program, a list of executed traitors' names scrolling past in soulless monotony, a procession of the forgotten. And then she saw it, her son's name. For a long period, she did not move. The sounds of the bar faded into a distant hum, the clinking of glasses, and low murmuring dissolved into white noise. Her grip on the bottle tightened, her knuckles going pale, her breath came slow and measured. A dreadful stillness wrapped around her like a shroud. Then she breathed, laid the bottle down, and stood. The customers of the pub barely noticed as she strode past them, her movements precise, deliberate. Only the bartender, a grizzled old veteran with one cybernetic eye, appeared to recognize the tempest simmering beneath her placid facade. He watched her go without a word, mumbling only a single line under his breath. Poor bastards don't realize what they've done. The first thing she did was fetch her guns. Helena had concealed them well, buried beneath layers of foamy identities and abandoned storage units scattered across various networks. The galaxy had tried to forget her, and she had let it. But now, as she recovered the matte black plasma weapon from its stasis box, when she felt the weight of old battle settle into her grip, something awoke within her, a hunger cold, consuming her. Armor was tattered but serviceable, a relic of a past she had sworn never to revisit. She donned it with the precision of an old ritual, each piece locking into place like the final components of an unstoppable machine. The weight was familiar, pleasant. Then came the ship. The Valkyrie was a phantom from another time, a vessel that should have been decommissioned years ago. Once a warship stripped of its official markings, left to decay in a disused hangar, it yet carried the scars of past wars, the pitted hull a witness to the conflicts it had weathered. Helena brought it screaming back to life in a matter of minutes. She had no army. She did not need one. Her destination was clear: the heart of the Empire, the seat of the royal family. The Emperor himself had ordered the execution. His signature, little more than a flourish on a datapad, a casual proclamation given from the comfort of his sumptuous throne. He had not learned the name of the child he had sentenced. Helena would make sure he never forgot it. The journey through Imperial space was not a tranquil one. The first hurdle, a patrol fleet, a cluster of sleek silver ships bristling with weaponry. They detected the Valkyrie almost instantly, their scanners flashing to life as they moved to intercept. The fleet's commander, an aggressive officer called Zorn, opened a channel. His picture flickered onto her watch screen, his expression one of practiced boredom. Unidentified vessel. You are in restricted. She did not allow him to finish. With a sweep of her wrist, she cut the transmission and accelerated. The Imperial fleet scrambled to react, their weapon systems locking onto her position. They were slow, predictable. She had battled these ships before, had outmaneuvered them in wars they hardly remembered. She deactivated the first cruiser in seconds, her pulse weapons blasting through its shields as if they were paper. The second ship lasted marginally longer, its frenzied counterfire dispersing harmlessly against her deflectors as she sent it spinning into the darkness. The rest of the fleet hesitated. She did not. By the time the last of the patrol ships had been reduced to drifting wreckage, she was already past them, a shadow slipping through the breaches of Imperial security. The capital world loomed ahead, a shimmering expanse of skyscrapers and spires, a place of decadence, excess, a monument to the Empire's strength, and shortly it would burn. She landed without clearance. The Valkyrie slashed through traffic lanes like a sword through silk. The city burst into turmoil, alarms ringing as security forces scrambled. Helena swept through them like a phantom. Her gun spat blue fire, her motions a planned symphony of violence. She had one destination, the Imperial Palace. By the time she reached its magnificent doors, a trail of bodies lay in her wake. The guards at the gate raised their firearms, their faces a mixture of dread and bewilderment. She did not slow. The first shot struck down the nearest soldier. The second and third reached their marks before the others could even react. The remaining guards hesitated, their training warring with a sudden gut-wrenching realization. They were not dealing with an ordinary opponent. Helena did not offer them time to decide. The palace doors crumbled beneath the force of an explosive charge. Inside, courtiers and officials scrambled for cover. Their carefully maintained poise shattered, and when she stepped through the fog at the far end of the hall, seated atop a throne of polished obsidian, was the Emperor. For the first time in his life, he knew dread. Helena aimed her rifle. "This is for my son." The first shot rang out, and the Empire would never be the same again. Now it would pay the price. The galaxy did not understand what had just transpired. 1 second, the Galactic Empire stood as an unshakable monolith, a power that had lasted generations, stretching across dozens of star systems with total control. The next, it was disintegrating in real time. News of the Emperor's death spread like wildfire, a single pulse of turmoil that tore through the intergalactic networks quicker than officials could restrain it. A human had overrun the city, assassinated the ruler in cold blood, and fled into the gap like a ghost. The Empire had faced wars before. It had crushed rebellions, snuffed out revolutions before they could evolve into real dangers. But this was different. This was personal. Helena sat in the pilot seat of her spacecraft, the Valkyrie, her fingers clenching around the controls as she watched the capital world shrink behind her. Fires still raging across the surface, entire city blocks reduced to smoldering wreckage. The people had not waited for further instruction. They had seen the palace fall, seen the imperial banners torn from their perches, and something primal had united in them. Revolutions took time, coordination, leadership, but vengeance was immediate. Helena's crew, a patchwork band of the most dangerous, unpredictable beings the galaxy had ever seen, gathered around the ship's command deck, watching the destruction unfold across the glass. Captain Riggs sat back in his chair, tossing a military knife between his fingers. His look was one of pure amusement. "Reminds me of back home," he murmured. Dr. Emily Vargas, the team's resident mad scientist and self-proclaimed authority in creative destruction, was engaged in furious typing on a handheld console. Her spectacles reflected the flickering fires of the crumbling empire. "The Imperial fleet is scrambling," she noted, "yet they're leaderless. Most of their admirals are either dead, defecting, or wondering if they still get paid next cycle. It's honestly pitiful." So what's next? Big Dave, a towering brute of a man who somehow made even military-grade power armor look too small, folded his arms across his chest. That was the question, wasn't it? Helena closed her eyes, letting the weight of everything settle in her chest. Her son was gone. The revenge she had sworn was complete. The Emperor was dead, his palace reduced to rubble, his government in freefall. And yet, even as she sat there, the remnants of her wrath cooling into something softer, she knew it wasn't over. The Galactic Empire was wounded, but wounds could heal. She had to make sure this one didn't. The answer came not from her, but from the universe itself. The moment the Empire's collapse became public knowledge, something amazing happened. The great expanding network of imperial power, which had once functioned with machine-like efficiency, began to unravel.